Imagine a world where teenagers are more anxious, more depressed, and more socially withdrawn than ever before. Now, stop imagining because that world is our reality. Over the past decade, anxiety and depression rates among Gen Z have skyrocketed. More young people are struggling with self-doubt, loneliness, and an overwhelming fear of the future. The big question is, why? In The Anxious Generation, renowned psychologist Jonathan Haidt explores what's fueling this mental health crisis. His research uncovers how smartphones, social media, and changes in parenting have created the most anxious generation in history. But the issue runs deeper than just screen time. Something fundamental has shifted in the way young people experience the world. The findings in this book are shocking, and they might just change how you think about mental health, technology, and the way we raise children today. Jonathan Haidt is one of the most influential psychologists of our time. His work focuses on how social and cultural changes impact our mental well-being. And The Anxious Generation is his latest deep dive into one of the biggest crises we face today: the alarming rise in anxiety and depression among young people. If you've read his previous book, The Coddling of the American Mind, you know that Haidt isn't afraid to challenge conventional wisdom. In The Anxious Generation, he presents a compelling argument. We have unintentionally created an environment that makes young people more anxious, fragile, and unprepared for adulthood. His research highlights two major factors driving this crisis: the rise of smartphones and social media, which has rewired how young people think, feel, and interact. A fundamental shift in parenting styles where overprotection and fear-driven decision-making have prevented kids from developing real-world resilience. These forces aren't just shaping the way young people behave, they're altering their brain chemistry, their confidence, and their ability to handle life's challenges. The consequences are far-reaching, but the patterns are clear. Smartphones have become an inseparable part of daily life, but Haidt argues that their influence on young people's mental health has been devastating. Before the 2010s, rates of anxiety and depression among teens were relatively stable. But right around 2012, coinciding with the widespread adoption of smartphones and social media, mental health took a drastic downturn. Research shows that teen depression rates have doubled in the past decade. Suicidal ideation among teenage girls has increased dramatically. Heavy social media users report higher levels of anxiety, loneliness, and low self-esteem. It's not just the amount of time spent on screens, it's what's happening during that time. Social media platforms are designed to be addictive, engineered to hijack attention and create endless feedback loops of comparison. Teenagers, who are at a critical stage of identity development, are particularly vulnerable to these effects. The constant exposure to filtered lifestyles, unrealistic beauty standards, and performative social validation has left many feeling inadequate. Unlike in previous generations where social interactions had clear boundaries, today's teenagers are never truly alone. Their social lives are dictated by likes, shares, and comment sections, creating a persistent sense of social pressure that follows them 24/7. The evidence suggests that the more time young people spend engaging in digital interactions, the less time they spend developing real-world social skills, coping mechanisms, and emotional resilience. The result: a generation more connected than ever, yet increasingly isolated and anxious. While technology has played a significant role in reshaping childhood, Haidt argues that modern parenting styles have exacerbated the problem. Parents today are more protective than ever, often shielding their children from discomfort, failure, and even mild risk. In past generations, children spent hours playing outside, unsupervised, learning through experience. They made mistakes, solved problems, and navigated conflicts on their own. Today, that kind of unstructured freedom is rare. Instead, parenting has shifted toward constant supervision and intervention. Many well-intentioned parents, fearing for their children's safety and future success, have adopted an overprotective approach that ironically leaves them less prepared for adulthood. This shift can be seen in two major ways: the safety obsession phenomenon. Parents track their kids' locations in real time, limit independent play, and intervene at the first sign of discomfort. The message this sends? The world is dangerous and you can't handle it alone. The self-esteem movement backfire. Participation trophies, great inflation, and an avoidance of competition were meant to build confidence. Instead, they've created a generation that struggles with setbacks and criticism. These changes have left young people with fewer opportunities to develop resilience, confidence, and real-world coping mechanisms. The result? Higher levels of anxiety, greater fear of failure, and an increasing dependence on external validation. The Anxious Generation is a thought-provoking book that forces us to confront uncomfortable truths. Haidt doesn't just highlight the problem, he provides a compelling explanation for why it's happening. The book is heavily research-backed, making it one of the most well-supported analyses of the modern mental health crisis. However, some critics argue that Haidt focuses too much on technology as the root cause, potentially oversimplifying a complex issue. While it's clear that social media and overprotective parenting play significant roles, factors like economic pressures, climate anxiety, and educational stress also contribute to rising anxiety levels. Personally, reading this book changed how I view technology's role in my own life. I became much more mindful of how often I check my phone, how social media impacts my mood, and how easy it is to fall into digital distraction cycles. Haidt's research made me rethink my daily habits, and I believe it's an essential read for anyone concerned about mental health in the digital age. So, what can we do to prevent an even more anxious generation? Haidt offers 3 critical solutions: reduce screen time and encourage offline interactions. Even a small decrease in social media use can significantly improve mental well-being. Promote independence in young people. Give them space to explore, fail, and learn resilience. Create better technology boundaries. Implement digital-free zones at home, especially before bed. Now, I want to hear from you. Do you think technology is the biggest factor behind rising anxiety levels? What steps have you taken to manage digital consumption in your own life? Drop your thoughts in the comments. And if you found this video valuable, don't forget to like, subscribe, and turn on notifications for more deep dives into important books and ideas.